that is the series of events that triggers this.
That leads to this meltdown that you're about to see on air. Take a look.
Right. The only difference between what we did on that visit and what the New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, everybody else is doing is we were transparent. We actually told you. And so I understand if you don't know how the media works day in and day out, and you're just like watching this show day in and day out, I understand that you'd be like, wow, okay, man, that's sudden. But for media reporters to lie, to pretend that this is a shock, to try to get clips, for Washington Post reporters and columnists say, how dare they go see him after they said he was a fascist? And that's exactly what the Washington Post is doing. That's exactly what the Wall Street Journal is doing.
Their job.
That's exactly what the New York Times... Yeah, you know what you call it? You call it their job. And let me say this. Two things. You can do two things at the same time. You can say he had fascist rhetoric and still go in and talk to him.
Yeah.
You know why I do that? To get the read of the man. You know why I went in and talked to Macron? To get the read of the man at a crucial time in EU funding and NATO funding. You know why I went to leaders in the Middle East who were angry at the United States, and I sat there and I listened to them attacking me personally for 45 minutes because of U.S. policy? You know why I do that? To get the read of the leader, to get the read of where the country's going. So I can come back here and talk to you and let you know what the hell is going on.
With context and
insight. Give you context, insight, and background. You know everybody we have on the show that's a reporter? It's what they do every day. They speak on background.
All right, so first of all, you are not a reporter. You are not a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
You are a fucking blowhard. You are no different from me pontificating on YouTube. You just do it on a dying TV network.
No,
okay?
he is different because his project is sucking up to power. I mean, this is the show that was the Biden Whisperer. They had him on speed dial. They had John Meacham, who was his speechwriter, on all the time and never mentioned that, like, oh, there might be a little conflict of interest for us talking about this presidency while having his literal speechwriter sitting right next to us. And that's part of the game here, is not just their own, like, fear, but also they don't know how to exist if they can't, like, get on the phone with some powerful person. And they're also fearful that they may be losing that access.
So to your point, he's lying because this isn't about some journalistic principles. This is about you wanting access and you wanting to be close to power. And by the way, I believe some of the reporting that they were kind of scared with the shit they said about Trump, and they were afraid, Lord only knows, is he going to sick the IRS on us? Is there going to be other consequences? Is he going to crack down on us in one way or another? And
yeah, they may have
he wanted
secrets.
to be like, hey, dog, no harm, no foul, right? Like, hey, I said some stuff. I don't really mean that stuff, dog. Like, that was the whole point of them going there. And then the other thing is, he's whitewashing it. They didn't just call him a fascist.
No. What he says, too, he says, we said he had some fascist rhetoric. That was the way they downplayed it. When in reality,
they compared him to Hitler.
Yes, repeatedly.
Hitler. So if you're going to compare him to Hitler and then you go meet him, you're Neville Chamberlain. You're the guy who comes up, peace in our time. Oh, shit, he just invaded 4 more countries. Oh, no. Like, that's why people are dunking on you. I mean, Bernie Sanders calls Trump an authoritarian.
Yeah.
Okay. He also says, hey, you want to cap credit card interest rates at 10%? I'm your Huckleberry. Let's do it. That's what Bernie does. That I understand. That's logical. Now, ultimately, I don't think Trump's going to do it, so he's just going to be like, aha, I called your bluff, right? But there's a logic to that. There's nothing other than you are a careerist, opportunist, ladder-climbing, power-seeking freak who's trying to remain relevant. And you made a great point. Tell people what you really like, why the genesis of this whole fight was David Frum saying the thing about Fox News.
Well, I think there's 2 pieces here. Number one, remember after their first Mar-a-Lago announcement, and there was people were very upset about it, and then they came on and Joe did this whole, like, well, the people I talk to who called me afterwards. They said it was the right move. So he was comforting himself with like, oh, all my elite circle friends, like they get it. They've got my back. And now you have not only David Frum, who we would definitely consider in that circle, but also George Conway apparently came out and like tweeted Frum's thing and was like, you got to read this. Like with tears in my eyes, I'm reading this like horror from David Frum. So they feel their elite support, liberal elite support crumbling too. So I think that's number one. But number two, it's very interesting to me that the thing that Frum said that they considered to be totally over the line was this really pretty mild critique of Fox News. Well, we know MSNBC is kind of in a death spiral, right? Lost half of their viewership. Comcast has already announced they're spinning them off as part of a like company with a bunch of their cable properties. NBC News is staying with Comcast. The executives at Comcast said this was going to be like a well-funded startup. Okay. Even a well-funded startup is not going to be in a position to pay these two's multi-million-dollar salaries. Didn't Steve Schmidt tell us they both make $10 million every year?
I'm looking it up right now.
So guess what would be a logical move for them to maintain
Reported
their...
eight is the number reported.
To maintain their money and their power and their influence and their sway in Washington? Fox News.
That's right.
Which now has something like 70% of the cable news market share.
That's right.
It's going to be the only place that's like relevant, has access really in the Trump era. And so they may be thinking that could be a potential next move for them.
No, it's
so
definitely that.
Let's not piss off the potential new boss.
It didn't occur to me when I first watched it, and I was just kind of laughing at how they're lying because they want access and all that.
Yeah.
But when you said it, I was like, oh, that's right. Because, yeah, the genesis of the fight is David Frum's comment of, yeah, Pete Hegseth drinks too much for Fox News, and if you're drinking too much for Fox News, you're drinking a lot. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows, like, Janine Pirro's a fucking drunk, and she's on air all
Maria
the time.
Bartiromo.
Right? Yeah, like,
yeah.
So in other words, he's like, yeah, they're all fucking drunks over there, right? And if you're going to get offended over that, why would you get offended over that? Why would you get offended over that? The only reason is you want to maintain good relationships. Which, by the way, there's a little bit of a Streisand effect here. Nobody would have fucking known about this comment unless you fucking just blew it up with this segment.
So
where now you're berating.
Well, but they probably like the optics of like, oh, Fox News knows we're standing up for them, you know? And they probably also, like, they're so out of touch. I don't think anyone on the right is really, like, loving this moment from them, but it's not hard to get the right. You just say a few things about like Democrats are too woke and they've lost touch and I'm identifying more with the Republicans now and they're more open-minded or whatever before they start loving you. Like it's very easy to make the transition. So they're in the process, I think, of moving in that direction. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see them try to make their move over there.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't shock me at all if they get accepted either. Like I could see it, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could see it. It's just so
Joe
embarrassing and so
Scarborough was
dishonest.
a Republican congressman.
I know.
It's not like it will require some major ideological shift for him. It would, in a lot of ways, Trump will govern in a way that is much more consistent with Joe Scarborough, who was like, you know, a typical cut taxes, cut the regulation, cut the social space. This guy loved Paul Ryan, and he was a neocon. So, like, it doesn't require any ideological shift for Joe Scarborough. All he has to do is don the pro-Trump cap rather than the anti-Trump cap. It would be easy as anything.
It's just so funny to be like, all viva la resistance, and then all of a sudden it becomes like, you know, I think he's got some points.
Right.
Like,
and be
that's
like,
so complete
like,
opposite.
They were calling him Hitler, and now
I
David
know.
Frum's like, they're drinking a lot, and they're like, you can't. That is, sir, that is too far. And the fact the producer came on the ear is really hilarious too. That's actually never happened to me in a cable news hit where they come on and are like, you need to tone it down.
Well, you said when you worked at MSNBC, you said like everybody was pretty cool, but there's one group that was very cliquish and very elitist. Morning Joe.
Oh yeah.
And you could see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could fucking see it.
They held
right?
themselves apart from everybody else. And they considered, you know, all the rest of us as like unserious liberal, you know, idiots, whatever. And so they're very,
but, like,
very
their show
exclusive.
sucks. Their show's not interesting. It's never been interesting.
No, I agree. No, their whole thing has been sort of like CNBC, where it's not like the
Right.
ratings
Yeah,
are
that's right.
amazing. Their ratings have never been amazing, but they knew how to curry influence, and they knew it would be on in the gym on Capitol Hill, and that lawmakers would be starting their day with it, and that leads to premium ad rates, right? The
Yeah,
wealthier.
but talk about like a limited fan base, right?
Yeah. But, you know, ultimately in cable news, like in the business, the ratings, like they matter for money, but not really that much. And so if you're able to place more premium ads in the product, that actually makes up for not maxing out on the ratings. And then obviously, if you're like the tastemaker who has the president on speed dial, you become an invaluable commodity for this giant corporate entity that wants to be able to get their, you know, special tax breaks or whatever the fuck they want in front of the president of the United States. And so obviously you're going to become completely invulnerable. You're going to be able to bargain for whatever